Hi and welcome. In today's video, I want to talk about before you move to Mexico, what you need to know. And first up is moving to Mexico. What do I need? And first thing is, and I've got this question asked, do I need a passport to move to Mexico? And yes, you do need a passport to move to Mexico. Yes, and once you get your passport, I suggest, or if you do have a passport, make sure it's at least, I would suggest 2 years before it needs to be renewed. If it's on for a year or less, I suggest try to get it renewed before you travel if you plan to stay long term in Mexico or live in Mexico. And also inspect and check your passport, make sure everything is good on there. There's no tear or anything like that, because if there's a slight little tear or slight little damage on it, a lot of countries will not accept you inside with a passport that is somewhat damaged or missing a page. So just always check everything and make sure your passport is good for you to travel to Mexico, because you will need that to do a lot of stuff when you go to Mexico. Okay, so now that you have your passport, what's next they need to know before you move to Mexico or come to Mexico long term? Okay, the next process is getting a visa or some residency status while you are there in Mexico. And the reason why I say that is because usually you get 180 days, but it's not guaranteed you for you to get 180 days to be in Mexico. When you go to the airport, or if you cross by land by the border, it's not a guarantee that you get 180 days to go to Mexico. And what a lot of people do, they come and they do border run. They come and they go to Belize, or they go back somewhere in the USA, cross over, and come back, take a trip, and come back to get another 180 days. But lately they've been cracking down on it. So you just never know if you might get 180 days when you come back, or if they let you back inside the country. You just never know what can happen. So do you want to take that risk? And then you have all your stuff with the place that you rent. And I suggest that also when you come to Mexico, don't buy right away. Rent something or do like an Airbnb for 30 days to see the area, see how you feel about the area. Because that's very important. You don't want to go rent something for a year and then you go there and you don't like the area. And I wouldn't suggest renting anything either before you go to Mexico. You want to go to the area, do everything in person. It can wait. There's a lot of options, a lot of places that you can go that would be available if you see one before you go there looking at it, and then they said, oh, you gotta hurry up, don't rush. Okay, you go there. My suggestion, go to an Airbnb unless you know people there already that you can stay with. That's also a plus, but my suggestion is do like 30 days Airbnb, and then you can walk around the area, look and see if it's for you. Okay. Yeah, so the options are visa or residency status. So what a visa work is, usually you go to like an embassy and you apply for residency, and usually they give it's going to be a one-time use visa if you go to the embassy. And when you go to Mexico, you can't leave Mexico until you get that process completed for residency. So you have to go to the immigration office in Mexico and get that taken care of in that moment when you are there. Make your appointment, get it done. I mean, my recommendation, I'm not a lawyer or anything, but I would say get somebody professional, a lawyer, to do it for you, to help you with it, because everything has to be in Spanish if you don't know Spanish. A lot in Mexico, so that would be something that you can do. Get somebody to help you with that, like a professional lawyer that can help you get all the paperwork done for you, get appointment set up, and you go in there and he assist you with everything to get your residency. And you can do that before you even go to Mexico. You can just, like I said, make an appointment, go to the embassy, apply for everything, get a visa. So most of the work is done there. Then you go to Mexico, they do it in person, and just check what the qualification is needed for you to get residency, different type of option. If you can get temporarily, permanent, or if you have somebody in your family that was born in Mexico, like say your mom or your dad, then you can go straight to being a Mexican citizen before you even get there by doing all the paperwork at the embassy. Here in the USA, they have different places that has them. You can just always look it up online. Next, Mexico has many different climates. Yes, well, when I say many different climates, I mean it pretty much has the 4 different climates, just like you have in the USA. Mexico has the 4 different climates also. Mexico has snow in some part of it. It does have snow in Mexico. Mexico is very humid by the beach areas. And you got to worry about hurricanes sometimes, so that's something you got to look into. And then more like in the central Mexico area, it's more like altitude, drier here type of climate. So that's something you also can just research, can do a lot of that. before, or if you want, you can just come do small trips to areas that you think you might like and feel it out and see what it is like. But you can do a lot of that online before you even go and see what it is, and you get an idea of what it's like in different part of Mexico, what area you want to go. In a beach area, most people go like in Quintana Roo or Puerto Vallarta, over there, those areas where you have a lot of beaches, or central people in Mexico City, Morelia, Querétaro, it's more central. Still have altitude, and Querétaro it's not bad. No, it's got altitude, but it's and it's dry here, and it's pretty much cool all year round in a sense where the heat doesn't get as bad, and at nighttime it cools down because of the altitude that it has also. So that's something that you need to check out too. What climate do you want to live in when you come to Mexico? Okay, the metric system in Mexico, that's another thing that is a little bit different, So instead of miles, you're gonna have kilometers. You're gonna use a lot more centimeters. When you go buy gas, you're not gonna say gallons. It's gonna be in liters. So those are the stuff that you have to like work out. I'm pretty sure with your phone, you can just type it in your phone, and it helps you to do it for you and calculate it for you in that sense of a way. And then after over a while, you can start learning it. So you just have to remember that when you're driving, you gotta pay attention to that. That's when it says speed limit. You gotta make sure you're checking it, because you want to check that you don't want to be driving and you see the speed limit and you see like 110 and you think it's 110 miles per hour you can go when it's 110 kilometers, which is about 6 to 65 miles per hour. So that's what it is. So that's something that you have to learn when you come here in Mexico. The metric system, I think it's different. It's the same everywhere else in the world except in the USA. So you always want to check your bank account, make sure you have that in order. And what I recommend is you can just call your bank, ask your bank, hey, I'm gonna be in Mexico. If I do withdrawal, is there an ATM fee, international fee for that? So that's something you can ask and see if your bank has it where they're gonna charge you, or no, they said it's free and stuff like that. Because that was important to know. Every time you do withdraw, that can add up over time until you can go to Mexico and get yourself situated where you can get a Mexican bank account and you can do transfer over, where it will be a lot cheaper. You have some option where you can send it for free from the USA to Mexico, and some you pay a small fee, like with Western Union, or with Wise, WISE. That's another good option to send money. You can even open an account with Wise also, Wise Bank, and you can do everything through them also, where you send money to yourself directly. So that's something that you just want to set up just to have, and just make sure that you're not gonna have no problem with your bank. I think you always want to keep like a USA address when you have a bank there, because the bank sometimes can close your account because you don't have no active address in the USA. That's with the bank for them to keep in the system. So look into that before you move and come to Mexico, or come to Mexico long term. Alright. Insurance is another good thing to have. We always say, hey, nothing that's gonna happen to me, anything like that. But here in Mexico, you have to learn how the insurance or the hospital and stuff work here. It's not as similar as in the USA. Oh, I'm sick, I'm just gonna go to the hospital and they got to treat me. Mexico here, they don't have to treat you, and they're gonna ask you if you have insurance and stuff like that, or if you have the money to pay right away. That's how it is here in Mexico. So y'all want to check if you have insurance already. See if they work here in Mexico for the same rate, or if you come to Mexico, you can just check out and see. You have the traveling insurance. You can start off with that until you get to Mexico. You can check out some more that still will accept you even if you're not here from Mexico. And the rates are different, so you have to check it out. I think it's like 120, and some goes up to like 300. Depends on your health situation and how often you're gonna need to go to the hospital. All right, the currency. All right, that's the next thing here in Mexico. The currency change up and down a lot. So when you're budgeting, also with the currency, I suggest that you budget lower, because the currency fluctuates a lot. So you have to make sure that, because for instance, at sometimes, for example, during COVID era, it went down to 21 US dollar was worth like about 25 pesos, something like that. Now it's at 17 to 1. So that's a big change. Even at some time last year, I think early, it went down as low until 14. So 1 US dollar was 14. So that can affect your budget. They said they will have $1,000, and that can go all the way down by the currency changing. That can affect you greatly. So just don't come and say, okay, I want this place right here because of it's in my budget and it's 50%. You just always want to remember. You want to keep your rent about 30% or less. 20% would be great if you can do it with your income that you have, so that you have a lot of room to work with when the currency changes, sometimes for the better, sometimes affect you where it's going to be less money that you have. So keep that in mind. Mexico is a Spanish speaking country, so they don't have to speak English to you, but a lot of people, depends on the area you are, speak a lot of English, and they don't have no problem speaking with you in English. But if you're going to come to Mexico, you want to make sure you start practicing the small words. Hola, good morning. Hola mean hi. Buenos dias, buenas tardes. Those simple stuff goes a long way with people, even if you don't know Spanish. And then when a lot of times they're going to respond and start talking to you in a lot of Spanish, and because they probably think that you know a lot of Spanish, and you can say, lo siento, no hablando mucho español, something like that, and they will understand with you, and you can work with it, and you can just use your phone in the meantime and just translate it. So you just have to respect that, respect the culture when you come in Mexico, don't bring the same culture that you have to another country that you're going to another country, and then that would be pointless. So just learn the culture. You don't have to be 100 into it the way people do it and stuff like that. You don't have to eat the same thing everybody eat. You can see what you like, what you don't like. Get to know some of the people and stuff like that. It's not hard to do, and people are friendly to the most part. When you come and have your own experience, you'll see for yourself. So you just have to remember, there's no way in the world that is 100% safe. There's no way nowhere in the world, and you're gonna have stuff can happen bad and stuff can happen good anywhere. So you just have to keep that in mind. Don't let that derail you. I've had no bad experience, so everything's been going good. I try to be friendly. Mind my own business. Don't be a Karen here and stuff like that. And just enjoy life. Enjoy the new journey, the new location, and that would be my advice for you before moving to Mexico. So if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Until next time.